Welcome back to the channel. This is Gillis TV here right on Clemhawks. And before we get started, everyone that does videos for Clemhawks would like to say thank you for your support. The way the channel's been growing the last 2 weeks, we're almost at our goal already. So thank you guys very much. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, that like button, as we cover everything. All the rumors and trades in the MLB, NHL rumors, NHL trades. Eventually, we'll get into the NFL and NBA and much more. There's even NASCAR on Sundays if you're into that. You'll catch Clem on with the NASCAR. But let's get to the video today. As you know, there's not much going on, and one of the articles I read was the Oilers will have a trio of 40 goal scorers, which, you know, the obvious two names is Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. The third one in that is Evander Kane. You look at what Evander Kane brought to this Edmonton Oilers team for only half of a season plus the playoffs. The dude was on fire, and there's no doubt in my mind a full season under Connor McDavid with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl that he's going to score 40. He could even reach the 50. We might have two 50-goal scorers. Who knows? Maybe all three can get to that. But then it got me thinking, yeah, that's a realistic theory there that the Oilers will have 40 goal scorers in those three guys. Which made me think, could the Oilers possibly actually have 40 goal scorers this year? And it is a huge possibility that happens with stability. The Oilers went on that stretch of 2-13 or something like that in December and January, which a lot of production from guys went down, and one of those guys is Zach Hyman. The guy had 27 goals this year, even though he had stretches of the season where nothing was going in for him. He was goalless for, I think it was 7-8 games a few times, a few 5 games there. You score, 2, 3, 4 more goals in that stretch, you stay hot, then the puck's still going in the back of the net. I believe Zach Hyman could be the Oilers' fourth 40-goal scorer on the team, which isn't realistic if you put the lines as McDavid and Kane, Hyman with the Draisaitl. Realistically, you can still do it like that. And how many teams in the NHL can say they have a chance of having 4 40-plus goal scorers on their team? There's not a lot out there. There might be a few, but that leaves Edmonton in some elite company with that. So let's look at McDavid, the obvious one to score 40 goals again this year. He had 44 goals last season, which is really good. You know, that was coming off of some overtime goals, power play. There were a lot of nice goals, 5-on-5, that Winnipeg Jets goal, the New York Rangers goal. You can't talk about McDavid enough. There's so many good things that he does. It's unbelievable. Even EA Sports got it right. His card is unbelievable on this game. Like, it's unbelievable what this guy can do, and to think he's turning 26 in January. The sky's the limit for this kid, and he's going to keep doing amazing things. Now you got his sidekick, his 1-2 punch, his best friend, in Leon Draisaitl, who had 55 goals last year, 55 assists. I'm sorry, but if the Oilers don't go in that 2-13 or 2-11 slump they did in December, January, Leon Draisaitl would have won the Art Ross. Or not the Art Ross, the goal scoring title from Austin Matthews. That's how good Leon Draisaitl is. And you take a look between the two, most of Matthews' goals got assisted by Marner. They play on the same line. Yes, I know Draisaitl scores a lot from McDavid, but Draisaitl actually has his own line to work with, and just that alone makes it harder for him to score than having the same guy pass you the puck. And I'm not ragging on Matthews or Marner here. They're two good players, great players in the NHL. But if they were on different lines, would Matthews have scored 60 goals this year? To me, I don't think so. That's a debate to have another time. So you got the Oilers 1-2 punch. Now you got the third guy. The guy that they brought in on a show me deal, show me what you can do with McDavid and Draisaitl. And there was no doubt in my mind that Kane deserves this contract, and he actually signed for less in Edmonton to play with the two best players in the world. He played 43 games, had 22 goals. He had 13 goals in 15 games in the playoffs. Right there, in a matter of, 58 games, the guy had 35 goals. I'm sorry, but if he plays a full season in Edmonton, he should have at least 44 goals, according to this. 40 goals. And that's playing a full season. That is unbelievable what Evander Kane can bring to this table for the Edmonton Oilers. And he was a plus 25 this year on a line with McDavid. He played so much Draisaitl. I'm sorry, the guy's minus 42 in his career, and he was plus 25 this year. He brings that element that the Edmonton Oilers have been looking for McDavid for the longest time. That goes back to Pat Maroon, Ty Ratty, Zach Kassian was in there. But no one fit the guy like Evander Kane. And it's great to see. So, yeah, those three guys are pretty much locked in for 40-plus goals, especially Draisaitl and McDavid. It's, unless we have a shortened season, that's the only way that's going to stop it. Now, the fourth guy, like I said, the guy that's the wild card in all of this, Zach Hyman. And he did not have a bad year. He had 27 goals in 76 games. You look at the playoffs, he had 11 goals in 16 games. So in a matter of 92 games, the guy had 38 goals. I know that's over the playoffs too. But like I said, that stretch the Oilers went on where we couldn't get goal scoring, we couldn't get goaltending, we couldn't play defense. Our power play went cold. At the end of the year, our power play actually went colder than it started. Power play goes up, for sure Zach Hyman and Evander Kane being on the first or second power play unit is going to get a couple more goals to help that total out. I believe Zach Hyman can be a 40-goal scorer with the Edmonton Oilers. Like I said, playing alongside Draisaitl, if Jay Woodcroft does go and say, hey, you're playing with Evander Kane and McDavid tonight, there's no doubt in my mind that Hyman doesn't score 40 goals this year. He's a lock-in for at least 35. So why not 40? Couple more power play goals, you're there. So the Oilers could potentially have 4 guys that can score 40 goals. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I don't expect him to score 40. He's more of a playmaker. But if that happens, that could be a possibility. But these 4 guys are the most likeliest Oilers to score 40-plus goals. Now, you put that in perspective. You got 4 guys at 40-plus goals. All of a sudden, your team has 160 goals. That's not including when Yamamoto signs, what Yamamoto puts up, what Nuge puts up, what McLeod puts up, what Puljujarvi puts up. What about the defense like Bouchard, Ceci, Barry, Nurse? All of a sudden, you take all those players, say they get a combined 80 goals, your team scored 240 goals. That's not including the depth players. That's not including those 4 players scoring more than 40 goals. We should be excited for this season. We have a team that knows how to play. We've got a goaltender. Let's not jump the gun on Jack Campbell. He's a good goaltender, but let's get him a couple games under the Oilers' belt first before we start saying stuff about him. But that is it, as I believe those 4 guys will be 40 goal scorers. And you know what? 80 points each isn't really hard to do when you got a team like the Edmonton Oilers right now that thrive off adversity. And, if McDavid, Kane, Draisaitl, Hyman play like they did in the playoffs. Hyman had 16 points in 16 games. He was a point-per-game player. Kane had a bunch. McDavid and Draisaitl just went nuts in the playoffs and, had those great point totals. If they can do that in the regular season, watch out. Edmonton's going to win the Pacific Division. And if this team can stay healthy with the goaltending of Jack Campbell and Stuart Skinner, well, watch out Western Conference, because you know what? At that point, maybe they can hang out with Colorado, as we got through the adversity of playing Calgary after we lost that first game. We came back 4 straight, made Calgary go into rebuild in quotations, with trading away Kachuk and not being able to sign Gaudreau. You know what? I'll take it. Being an Edmonton Oilers fan right now is huge for the team. But that's where this video is going to end. I could keep going and going about this team. And what about if the rumors are true about Phil Kessel? Do you think maybe Phil Kessel can have a 20-goal season? Possibly. He's a right-handed shot. Go check that video out. This is Gillis TV right here on Clemhawks. I hope you guys have a good one. I'll catch you on the next one.